It may look like just another kid's game, but Bitsbox is the result of a conversation startup co-founder Scott Leininger had with his 7-year-old daughter several years ago.
I was a computer engineer at Google. You probably heard of that company. And Audrey wanted to know what I did for a living. So I said, oh, I'm a computer programmer. And she said, what's computer programming, Daddy?
Aidan Chopra, Bitsbox's other co-founder, explains that teachable moment developed into cards and activities that shows kids how to write computer code on their own or with their parents.
The coding that we teach, the computer programming we teach, involves typing, real words and numbers and things. And so basic literacy is kind of a prerequisite for Bitsbox. We sort of say we start around 2nd grade, 3rd grade, once kids have a little bit of numeracy, like basic math, and they can read and write a little bit.
The main product is a subscription. Each level introduces a new computer science concept with a set of app projects that are delivered to your home every month.
The hard part of teaching kids to code is getting them to come back and do it again. So it's just like learning to cook or learning to read or learning to play music. It's kind of a lifelong skill, and there's a lot to know.
Critics may say kids should be learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. But learning how to code, say Scott and Aidan, is critical in the 21st century.
Try to think of an invention that's come out in the last 15 years that hasn't somehow involved coding.
Coding is a literacy skill.
If you want to be an astronaut, or you want to be a janitor, or you want to be a ballet dancer, or whatever, it's all about taking sort of the big world of ideas and information and bringing it down into something that works.
These two entrepreneurs met at Google. Aidan has a degree in architectural design, leading the creative direction, and Scott worked on the technical side. So why not stay with a big, successful company? Why create a startup?
That's a really good question that I ask myself all the time.
When it's like cold out and you're in bed and you're like,
why did I ever do this?
Right.
Yeah, startups are hard, but they're really fun, and they're your own thing.
Working in a startup is exciting. Coming up with an idea, gathering a team, and transforming that idea into a reality. The metaphor these guys use is comparing a huge ship to a zodiac, a small inflatable boat.
When you're at Google or Trimble or Apple or Facebook or any of the big companies, it's secure. You're in this giant ship and you're just charting a course and you're one really important piece of this big operation. But you have almost no influence over what direction the ship is going. And it's so safe that you kind of forget that you're even in the water. There's very little risk, very little reward, and very little autonomy. And then you see the Greenpeace people in the little zodiacs, ramming the whaling ship. And they're down. And not only, are they constantly aware of the actual conditions of what's happening in the world, right? But they can turn, like on a dime. But to turn the ship takes, 40 people and probably 20 miles to make a 180-degree turn.
When in the inflatable, not-so-sturdy boat, or startup, all of your decisions, right or wrong, are yours and can be made in a few hours, even a few minutes. Invigorating and frightening. There's gratification by showing up in the world this way, knowing that your work can directly change policy, build something, or even improve someone's life in a way that you may not feel being a cog in a giant wheel. Proof of that impact? The team at Bitsbox receives thank you cards from kids, their parents, even grandparents.
We're in the process of putting together a new book right now of all these great stories that we've gotten back.
And it's called the Feel Good Book.
The Feel Good Book.
Sometimes on bad days, you'll just sit on the couch and you look at the Feel Good Book to remember why you're doing this, which is really nice.
There are a few things they would do differently, like putting processes in place before bringing on the rest of the team.
Do you know what I'm working on later after we finish this? Employee handbook. So that's my big project for this quarter.
One of the keys to their success is asking questions and reaching out to mentors.
I'm in a CEO group that meets once a month, and we get together 5 or 6 companies, and it's just the CEOs, and it's great. Like, I don't know that I get huge amounts of actionable advice, but I get a lot of accountability and a lot of support. I
It's
get
more
all-
like a 12-step program
It really
for you.
is.
It's like emotional support.
It really is, and
Yeah.
it creates, you know, sort of a rhythm.
And it's important to teach a diverse group of coders.
Right now, the world, you know, Facebook and these other things that are a little bit cool and a lot bit scary are a reflection of the fact that most engineers are straight white men. And so the world that we're living in right now is a reflection of who gets to make the decisions about what gets made. If we want to live in a world that's a reflection of ourselves, of what we look like and what we believe, then we need to have women and people of color and people of different sexual orientations.
We could have stayed at big companies and just made money for the rest of our lives.
More money.
Yeah, probably considerably more money doing that. But
In service of what?
yeah,
Ultimately, yeah.
like you can. Life is very short, and you know, if you find yourself doing a job that isn't what you want to do, don't waste another year, you know, not chasing something.
For Street Level, I'm Tamara Banks.